Hey guys, welcome to Pepcoding. In today's lecture, we are going to solve this question, number of valid subarrays. Okay, let's try to read this question. Given an array nums of integer, okay, return the number of non-empty continuous subarrays that satisfy the following condition. Fine. The leftmost element of the subarray is not larger than other elements in the subarray. Fine. What do you mean by this line? The leftmost element in the subarray is not larger than other elements in the subarray. Fine. That means the leftmost element is the smallest element in that subarray. Okay. So firstly, let's discuss about what is a subarray. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the subarray. Okay. Let's say I have taken this array 1, 2, 3. What will be the subarrays of this 1, 2, 3? Okay. 1. Fine. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. These are the subarrays which are starting from 1. Okay. Now let's talk about 2. 2 and 2, 3. And 1 will be 3. So there are 5 subarrays of 1, 2, 3. I hope now you understood what is the meaning of subarrays. Okay, it's very basic thing. If you are here in the stack, so you already know about subarray. Okay, we have to what we have done here 1, 2, 3. So the subarrays of 1, 2, 3 are this 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 and 2, 2, 3 and 3. Okay, so what the question is now? What question is asking us? Okay, so 1, 2, 3 is the subarray. Okay, so we'll be sorry array. So what we'll be doing here, we have to print no we have to print the number of total valid subarrays. Okay, so what are valid subarrays here? Let's talk about first subarrays. Okay, one is here now. Okay, let's and what is the condition for valid subarray is that the leftmost element of that subarray must be the smallest element in that array. Okay, so this is fine. Yeah, there is only one element and the leftmost element is, yes, obviously smaller than every element because there is only one element. Okay, so now let's talk about 1, 2. Yeah, this is also fine. Why? Because see, the leftmost element is the smallest element in this subarray. Fine. So now let's talk about 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is also fine because sorry, 1, 2, 3 is here. This is also fine. This is also fine because this one is the smallest element. The leftmost element is the smallest element in this subarray. Fine. So now let's talk about 2. 2 is also fine. Yeah, 2, 3. This is also fine. Why? Because 2 is the smallest one. The leftmost element should be the smallest one. And yeah, there are only 2. And let's talk about 3. 3 is also fine. Okay. Now let's discuss some other test cases also. 1, 3, 2. Okay. Now I'm going to discuss this. Okay. So there will be how many subarrays? 1. Okay, 1 is fine. 1 and 3. 1 and 3 is also fine. Why? Because their leftmost element is the smallest one. And I am talking about now. I am going to talk about now of 132. This is also will be the subarray of this problem. Okay, but yeah, this is not a valid subarray. Why? Because sorry, yeah, this is also valid subarray. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is also valid subarray. Okay, because 1 is the smallest element in this array. Okay, so one more. Let's start from the 3. Okay, 3 is also fine because it's a single element. And let's talk about 3 too. So yeah, leftmost element is not the smallest one. Why? Because see, leftmost element is 3, and and ahead of 3 there is a smallest element present. Okay, so this is not a valid one. Okay, so now let's talk about other. So here's 2. 2 is the valid one. So yeah, total number of valid subarrays are how much here? 1, 2, 3 and 1, 4 and 1, 5. So total number of valid subarrays are here 5. Okay, so I hope you understood this question, that what's going on in this question, what we have to do in this question. Okay, we have to return the number of valid subarrays that will be made using this array, the input array. Okay, so let's talk about your other test cases also. Let's see if there are, let's see how much things are there. Okay, so let's say it's 1, let's say 3, 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 1, 5. Okay, so it's pretty big. So let's talk about this one, 3, 2, 2, 1. Okay, so now let's see. So what's going on here? We will first start from the 1, that how many subarrays will be there from 1. Okay, so 1 will be, yes, 1 is fine. 1, 3, 1, 3 is also fine here because leftmost element is smaller one. Okay, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2 is also fine. then 1 3 2 2 1 3 2 2 is also fine. Okay, 1 3 2 2 1. Okay, now let's talk about this one. Here what's going on, that it's the smallest one, it's fine, but yeah, its equal term is also repeating, so we have a problem with, you know what, if there is one more element which is smaller than this one, okay, then we will have a problem. Okay, this is fine for now, okay, because leftmost element is the smallest one. Okay, so this is also fine. Okay, now let's talk about threes. Okay, 3 is also fine. Now let's talk about 3 2. And here it's wrong. Why? Because 3 is not the smallest one. Okay, so the next sub array will be what? 3 2 2. You can see, yeah, 3 is not the smallest one. So after this you will make the sequence of 3, then there will be no valid sub arrays. Okay, yeah, because see, 3 2 2 1, this will make no sense. Okay, so whenever I am getting a wrong sub array here, where invalid sub array, so I have to stop here only. Okay, so now let's talk about 2. Yes, 2 is fine. Okay, now let's talk about 2 2. Yes, 2 2 is also fine. Why? Because there's no smallest element in the right. Yes, it is equal will be fine, but there mustn't be the smallest element. Okay, so 2 2 is also fine. Now let's talk about 2 2 1. This is wrong because the leftmost element is not the smallest one. There is someone here present. Okay, so there is some element present which is smaller than the leftmost element. Okay, so this array is invalid array. Okay, fine. So now let's talk about the next two. Next two is also fine. This is also fine. Now let's talk about next one, 2 1. This is also wrong because why? Because yeah, the leftmost element is not smaller than the other elements. Fine. So what's left? This left. So 1 is left. So this is also valid. Okay, so how many valid sub arrays are there? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 4 7 8 9 and 10. So total number of valid sub arrays are 10. Okay, so let's see that how we'll be going to do this question. Okay, I am taking this input only. So what's going on, let's talk about this thing. Okay, so wait. So what was it? It was 1 3 2 2 1. Wait, it was what? It was 1 3 1 3 2 2 1. Okay, so this was it. Okay, so how can we solve this problem here? Let's see how can we solve this problem. Okay, so now I am going to see what is going on. Okay, so 1 3 is fine. Wait, 1 3 here. Okay, so 1 3 1 is fine. Okay, 1 3 is also fine. 1 3 2 is also fine. 1 3 2 2 is also fine. 1 3 2 2 1 is also fine. Okay, so when I am getting the problem, when there is some smaller element after this element, then I am having a problem. Okay, so now let's talk about the second one, what actually is going on. Okay, so the sub arrays from starting from 3 will be 3. Sorry, yeah, so there will be 3. 3 is fine, yeah. And what about 3 2? Here we are stuck. Okay, so see, you can see from here, I am going to tell you about one thing, that how can we solve this problem using indices. So the index of these elements are 0 1 2 3 and 4, right? So here when it was 1, it was fine. 1 3 was also fine. 1 3 2 was also fine. 1 3 2 2 was also fine. 1 3 2 2 1 is also fine. Okay, so because there was no such element present in this array which is smallest than the element which we are talking about. Like we are starting from 1 na, and we are making sub arrays from 1, this element. So there is no smaller element present, right? So now what we will be going to do, now we're going to check about 3. Okay, so now let's see what's happening. Plus one more thing here I am going to tell you. Okay, so, first of all, now if I say you that I want to start from 1 and I want to check that how many sub arrays will it make from this element only. I'm not talking about the total number of sub arrays. Okay, I'm just talking about the total number of sub arrays which are starting from 1. How many will be there. Okay, so I can see from here I can see what is the index of 0. Total number of sub arrays are 0 1 2 3 and four, sorry, 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, so there are 5 total number of subarrays. Fine. So how I am going to do this question? See, so I am at 0 indices. Okay, so there is so total number of subarrays will be what? So what is the length of this length? 0 1 2 3, sorry, 1 2 3 4 5. 5 is the length. Okay, so what I am going to do, if I am going to subtract 5 with 0, the length of this total, and I'm going to subtract this from 0, then I'll get 5. That means I am getting the total number of subarrays. Okay, let's talk about 3 also. Okay, what I'm not talking about for a while, I'm not talking about the valid subarrays. Okay, now I'm just talking about total number of subarrays. Okay, I'm starting from this 1 3 2 2 1 na. So what will be the subarrays which are starting from 3? They will be 3 3 2 2, sorry, 3 2 and 3 2 2 and 3 2 2 1. Okay, so there are 4. Okay, indices of 3 is what? Index of 3 is 1 and total length of this array is what? 5. So if I'm going to subtract, see, I'm going to subtract it from here. So I want I want my array till here na. So I'm going to subtract it from the, its index is 4. So I'm going to subtract it from the next one. So 5 minus 1 is what? Total length minus the index. 5 minus 1 is 4. So I'm getting the right answer. Okay, so now you know how we are going to calculate the total number of subarrays. Now you know that length minus whatever from whatever index I want. Okay, so I hope you understood this. So now we know. So what actually I was going to tell you was this. I'm going to check now. I'm going to check like 3 is fine. Okay, this is fine when I am starting from, wait, okay, okay, it's okay. I'm going to erase this first. Okay. There was one. Fine. So yes. So I was initially here and I counted the total number of sub arrays were 5. Okay. So now I am here. How will I count? 3 is giving only one sub array. Fine. So let's see how I'm going to count. Firstly, now I'm going to check. One, let's discuss some approach. What will be the approach? I have to stop where? When I am here 1 3 2 2 1, I will check now where is the next smallest element. Okay, because I have to stop there, because I can see this one is fine. I'm talking about this one. Okay, 1 3 is fine, 1 3 2 is also fine, 1 3 2 2 is also fine, 1 3 1 is also fine. Okay, so I don't have to stop here. Okay, when I'm talking about 2, what I'm going to do, 3 is fine. I'm at indices what? 0 1 2 3 and this is 4. Okay, so I am at 3, it is fine. Now here I can't go to this 2 because it is the smallest one and there will be then mistake. Okay, this valid sub arrays is not including this 2 because leftmost element must be the smallest element. So here I am getting the bigger element than this. Okay, the greatest element than this. Okay, so what I am going to do now, whenever I get the smallest element, then this element where I am starting from, I just have to minus the indices. See, 2 minus 1. What will be 2 minus 1? 2 minus 1 will be 1. So I'm getting what? Here, I'm getting 1. Okay, so I'm getting one sub array only here. Okay, so one approach will be this. Let's talk about this one. What is happening here? What's happening here? For 1, if I'm starting from 1, there is no such element present which is smaller than 1 in the right. So what I am going to do, what I was doing in 1 3 2 2 1, the smallest element was this one. Okay, so I was doing what? I was just subtracting the smallest element index with its index itself. Okay, so in this there is no such smallest element present, okay, in the right of this element. So what I am going to do, I just have to subtract the length. I just have to subtract it from the size of this array. Okay, so I hope you get it what I have done here. I have just subtracted 5 with this 0. So I got my total valid sub arrays. Okay, so now let's talk about other ones also. Let's talk about 2 2. Okay, now I am starting from here. My indices is 0 1 2 is here. Okay, so here my indices is 2. Okay, 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, so which is the next smallest element here? Here it is 1. Okay, the next smallest element will be 1. So if I subtract 4, see, if I subtract this 4 with this 2, what I'm getting equals to 2. Why? Because 4 minus 2 equals to 2. So that means that if we have thought about this approach, so this must be right. So let's talk about this. So 2 will give how many sub arrays? This 2, then 2 2, and 2 2 1, right? But this is the wrong one. So I'm getting only two valid sub arrays. So this is right. So our algo is just based on this, that we have to subtract the index from the next smallest element. If there is no such element present which is the smallest from that element, so we have to just subtract it from the size of the array. Okay, so plus one more thing. So this was the brute force, that what we have to do, we just have to find the next smallest element using, you know, iteration. And when we get the smallest element, then we just have to subtract it from the index itself. Then we'll get the total number of valid sub arrays. Okay, but actually this is not, this is, you know, this will take the time complexity of this approach will be much greater than the, so we have to just make our code optimized. Okay, so what else we can do? So here what we will be going to do, you have already studied, I think, next smallest element to the right. Okay, next smallest towards the right. Okay, next smallest to right. Yeah, you have already studied this in the previous, in this module only. So I will suggest you that what you have to do, you just have to you just go, and if you haven't watched that solution, watch that video, go and watch this. Then this question is nothing for you. This is very easy question for you, because in that question we are just finding what, we are just finding the next smallest element to write. Okay, so you have to do what, you just have to watch that video, then you will be getting a better solution, you will be getting better clearance of this question. Okay, what we are doing here, our algorithm was what, we just did what, we were finding the next smaller element, and we were doing what, we were getting the next smaller element index, and we were just subtracting it from the index itself. Okay, so we were doing this, and we are getting our right answer. Okay, so plus one more thing, we have to do what, we have to iterate it from very with every element. Okay, for every element we have to do this, and we have, so yeah. So here one more thing I have to tell you, that we have to do this question using using that algorithm, that is next smaller to right. Okay, so I will suggest you that you have to watch that video. Okay, next smaller to right video, it's in this module only. You are here, so I am assuming that you know that video. Okay, you know the algorithm of next smaller to right. Okay, so what we are doing in this question, we are just finding the next smallest element, and just we are doing what, we are subtracting the index. Okay, let's take one more example, then you'll be okay. Let's say it's 3 0. Okay, so indices are 0 1 2 3. Fine. So what will be the valid sub arrays for 1? The next smallest element is at 3. Okay, so 3 minus 0, there will be 3 valid sub arrays. Let's talk about 3 valid sub arrays. One will be 1, then 1 2, and 1 2 3. We can't use 1 2 3 0, because as you know, 0 is smaller than 1. Okay, so there are 3 valid sub arrays. Fine. So we just have to do what, we just have to find the next smallest element. Okay, so there was a method that we have to go through the for loop iteration, and we just have to check one by one which is the smallest one. Okay, so the more optimized way is this one, that we have to find next smaller element using stack. Okay, so what we are doing in this question, like what was the 1 2 3 and 0, let's say. So what we were doing here, what we have to do initially, we have to iterate from the back. Okay, so these are the indices are what, 0 1 2 3. Okay, so this is the indices, and this is value. Okay, so what we used to do here is, we have to iterate from the very back, and if my stack size is 0, then I am going to assume. Plus one more thing, if if there is no smaller element in right, let's say 1 2 3, I'm going to talk about 1. If there is no smallest element to right, so what will be the total valid sub arrays? Okay, so 1 1 2 and 1 2 3. That means total number of valid sub arrays are 3. So its index is 0 right now, 0 1 2. Okay, so if I subtract this index, this 0th index with what, with the length of my this array. Okay, what is the length, is 3. So I'm going to subtract it, 3 minus 0, which will be equal to 3. That means 3 valid sub arrays. Okay, so if there is no valid sub arrays, then we have to, sorry, if there is no next smaller element, then we have to subtract the index from the length of the array. Okay, let's talk about, let's say 2. Okay, so the valid subarrays will be 2 and 2 3. So here are 2 only, so no next smaller element is there in this array. Okay, and its index is 0, sorry, and its index is what, 0 1 2 now. So its index is 1, so I'm going to subtract it from 3, the length of this array, and 3 minus 2, sorry, 3 minus 3 minus 1. Okay, because index of 2 is 1, so 3 minus 1 will be 2, and you can see from here there are two valid subvalues. Okay, so I hope what I am trying to say, if there is no next smallest element present, then you have to subtract the index from the length, and if there is present, then you have to subtract it from the next smallest element index. So okay, so what we used to do in this, we used to, firstly, there is stack is empty right now. Okay, so the next smallest element of 3 is what, sorry, the next smallest element of 0 is what right now. Going to write this from this one. Okay, so what's the next smallest element for 0 is nothing. So now I know it's a 5, the next smallest element present in the fourth index. Okay, 0 1 2 3. This is index, I don't get confused. Okay, these are indices and these are values. Okay, so next smallest element is at 4. Ideally, we are just talking about ideally. Okay, so now I'm going to store all the smallest element. Okay, its next smallest is at 4. Okay, this second index smallest element is where, so smallest element to write is where. Okay, it's at 0, so I'm going to store 3, the third index, because its next smallest element is at 3. So now I'm talking about 2, its next smallest element is at, also is at 3, and its next smallest element is also at 3. Okay, so how we are going to do this question using stack. Okay, so initially my stack size is 0, so what I am going to do, I am just, if my stack size is 0, so I am interpreting that my next smallest element is at what, the length. Okay, 4. So now next thing is we have to just push the indices. Here is indices and here is value. Okay, so it's third index value is 0. Okay, so now I'm going to do what, I'm going to check whether my element, if my element is greater than the top of my stack. So what can I interpret from here? I can interpret from here that there is the smallest element present, the smallest element present, the next smallest element present, it's in the stack itself. Okay, so this is the next smallest element, so I can store the value. Okay, so I can say that the at third index, see, I can see from the see from here at my stack top, there is an element present which is the next smaller element, so I am going to store it out. Okay, so now next option is what, I am going to I have to push this in the index. Okay, so 2 and the element present was 3. Okay, so now I am going to check about 2. Okay, so is this element if my stacks element, if my stack stop is less than, if my stack stop, that is index, if at that index at 2, if it's smaller than the element itself, it's not smaller, so it is not the next smallest element. So I am going to do what, I am just going to pop it out. When I am popping it out, when my element is smaller than the top of stack. Okay, so now I have to run a while loop here. So I'm going to check. Okay, so 0 is the smallest one, so I'm going to store 0 here. So the next smaller element of this element is at uh, sorry, 3. The index is 3, is at what, is at 3. Fine, so it's at 3. Okay, so I'm going to push it out also, push this also. So 1 and 2, plus one more thing left is I'm going to check for 1 here. Okay, so no, 2 is not the smallest element, so I'm going to pop it out. Plus now I'm going to check, yes, 0 is the smallest, so I'm just going to store it out. Plus 3 3 4, so now I'm getting my, all smallest elements. So I just have to do what, I just have to subtract it. So you just watch the code first, you just have to see the code, then you will be getting a better picture of this question. Plus, yeah, go and watch that video of next smaller to right. Okay, of that algo. Fine. So initially what we have to do, we have to create a stack of integer file, and I have named it as st. Okay, so after this I am going to initialize an integer in count. We have to count total number of subarrays now, and the total number of subarrays, how we are getting, we are getting it from the next we are just subtracting next smaller right with the index itself. Okay, so we have to start from where, we have to start from the last index, that is size -1, and we have to iterate it till the first element and I minus minus. Okay, so now I have to do what? Last option is what? I have to just push my index here. I'm going to push my index here, plus one more thing. I'm going to I'm going to have access of my element through this terms of. Okay, let's leave it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here, while see while my stacks size. Okay, one more thing here, one more thing. What I was doing here, if my stack size is greater than, sorry, is equal to 0, then what I was doing, I was adding. That means my total of number of sub arrays are what right now? Okay, those are nums dot size. I was subtracting my length of my array with what? With the index itself. Okay, else if there is something present in my stack, that means that is the next smaller element. So I am going to do what? I am going to subtract it from the next smallest element. At the top of my stack right now, my next smallest element is present. So just I am going to do what? I am going to subtract it from my index. Okay, so now what is the algo of next smaller to right? Okay, stack dot size, if my stack dot size is greater than 0, and if my element, that means if my element is, if my element is less than or equal to, if my element is less than or equal to what? My stacks dot top. Then I just have to remove that element. Why? Because I'm just going to pop that element out, because that is not the next smallest element. And I am going to run this while loop till I am not getting my smallest element, or my, if my stacks is not if my stack size is not equal to 0. Okay, fine. So let's try to run this. One more thing I have left here, that is we have to return, yeah, we have to return the count, guys. So I have not returned the count. Okay, let's see. Hamza, yes, it's fine. So let's run this again and see if all the test cases, if my code is accepted. Yes, it's running. Let's try to submit this. Okay. So yes, all the test cases are getting passed. So I hope you understood this question. Please watch. If you are having doubt, please watch this video again. Plus, I am just giving you the recommendation. If you haven't seen the video of next smaller to right, so please go and watch that. It's nothing. Just we are just finding a next smaller to right, and here what we are doing. If my stack size is greater is equal to 0, that means there is no next smaller element. So I am just adding my, adding what? Adding my total number of valid sub arrays to what? To number, that means size minus that index. Else that means something is present. What will be there in my stack? Then there is only the next smaller element present, the index of the next smaller element. That means I am just subtracting it from it from my current index. Okay, and at last what I am doing, I am just returning the count after calculating all the valid sub arrays. Okay, okay guys. So I hope you understood this question. So plus if you like the video, please hit the like button and please share and subscribe our channel. Okay guys, bye bye, we'll meet in the next video. Take care.